welcoming all to another World Martial Arts Tournament. The announcer thanks the crowd for their patience on this momentous day, declaring today's match will be one for the ages, a special bout between two of the strongest Earthlings who ever walked the planet, one having made it as far as the semifinals when he was a child, and is currently even the husband of the previous contestant known as 18, who only faltered upon facing the world champ Mr. Satan himself. Ushering forth Krillin to the fighting area. Breaking the energy, he asks the announcer if he can just wait one moment. Turning to his wife, he has a small favor to request, questioning what that may be. The delay is short-lived as the announcer quickly gets things back on track. Now sporting the traditional bald head, Krillin once more tries to channel the psyche of what a fighter is supposed to be. As she wishes him luck, one can only wonder if she carries those clippers everywhere she goes. Peeking in himself, Goku notices his old buddy must have gotten up to some recent training. Excited to see what surprises he has in store for this match. But first, there is one thing he has to do. Zipping away, the next contestant is called forth, even though it may seem like ages ago. Former champion of the world, Tien Shinhan. Standing with his longtime hetero life mate, story silent Chaozu, he inquires if Tien is ready to do this, before reminiscing about their initial encounter with the turtle students. It wasn't Krillin and Tien Shinhan, but rather Chaozu. While the latter's psychic abilities proved promising, they were no match for his foe's superior basic math skills. Urging it would be more fitting for himself to take on Krillin, and Tien to be matched with Goku. This show of confidence puts a smile on the warrior's face, but he has to admit he isn't that arrogant. It's no secret Goku surpassed him quite some time ago. And even though Krillin doesn't exactly hold a candle to the Saiyan, he's still incredibly savvy in his own right. Unfortunately, the past couple decades, Tien knows in his heart he's vastly underestimated his power, by far not giving him his deserved respect. He's still able to remember what Krillin said when Frieza and his father attacked the Earth. Even though he himself and the others trained alongside King Kai, he couldn't help but stand in awe of the Frost Demon's incredible ki. In fact, Krillin was the one who confirmed his greatest fear, in that Frieza was not alone. Sure, he had his dozens of minions, but this was much worse. While everyone else was already aware of the power this monster possessed, it was the first taste for all those training in Otherworld. Peering into the battle on Namek via King Kai was one thing, but being here firsthand isn't even in the same ballpark. The situation would only get worse. Gohan warning this is only a fraction of what he's truly capable of. Even though he's usually able to keep his cool, Tien couldn't believe these guys squared off with a behemoth like this. And, technically a couple members of the present company aside, lived to tell about it. As you may have been able to interpret through Tien Shinhan's reaction, despite the training they had undergone, Frieza was still eons past what they could have imagined. Looking back, this is the moment Tien would begin to gain respect for Krillin as a warrior, not only having the courage to stand up to such a beast, but actually possessing the prowess to stick in the fight for more than a few minutes is nothing short of amazing. Accidentally leaving the announcer hanging, he exasperatedly asks if he plans to enter the ring now. Snapping back to reality, he apologizes for getting lost in the past. He steps in for a bellow of applause from the crowd. With everyone ready to go, the battle for the strongest man on Earth bout is about to begin, causing a second wave of roars from the spectators. Sporting a sly look, Krillin questions if Tien really wants to go through with this, who of course insists he does, daring the both of them give it everything they've got. In the audience, we spot the regular folks. Roshi has to hand it to Yamcha, had it not been for his off comment to Little Marin during the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai about how her father was the strongest human on the entire planet. This fight today would have never been arranged, thanking him for the evening of entertainment. Who, for one reason or another, doesn't have much to say to this. With no further holdups, the battle for the strongest human on Earth begins! Focusing in, Krillin is ready to pull out all the stops. The curiosity of this event draws the attention of someone else. Even Piccolo notes how much Krillin has improved over the last several years. When the Saiyans first arrived, Tien would have likely wiped the floor with them. But now, all that is clear is the Triclops better not underestimate him. taking to the air after a short flurry of attacks. The former Crane School student is pretty proud of his foe, believing this is the way things should be. Not quite as hospitable, Krillin Tien speed he is always so proud of seems less apparent today, questioning if he decided to wear weighted clothes. Though, ever the dry personality, he promises that's not the case. It may be early, but he's giving it his all. His foe doesn't believe this statement for a minute. Finally returning, it seems all Goku wanted to do was retrieve his best buddy to watch the fight with him, though is pretty disappointed to see they've already missed the beginning. Jeering it's because Vegeta was too slow. And it's not so much the prince being slow, but more due to his outright refusal to come here willingly, arguing with his fellow Saiyan until Goku decided to just teleport the both of them here. Not giving up on his stubbornness, he announces he'll be leaving now. As he makes his exit, our hero thinks of the perfect thing to entice his rival into sticking around, singing, "You know, Vegeta, Tien Shinhan did beat me once." His interest piqued. He stops dead in his tracks, tapping down having changed his mind. After all, what would a few minutes away from Capsule Corps hurt? Back in the ring, both fighters have had enough chatter. But thinking, Krillin knows even if he won't outright say it, Tien must be hiding something. Hoping for his sake, he's aware he isn't the only one with surprises. Concentrating. The Triclops notices the aura in the arena change as our Dwarven warrior shouts, "Limit Breaker!" While he is ready to see vast improvement in his ally, he didn't expect this kind of power. The announcer calls to the audience. Tien Shinhan is the first to hit the ground, who find themselves thoroughly entertained by the sight before them. Though, the official has to admit, much of this fight's going on way too fast to follow with his own eyes. One thing seems clear, and that's Krillin has gained the upper hand. Our Saiyans have their predictable reactions. Goku happy for his friend, but Vegeta only rolling his eyes. Brushing the dust off his gi. The comic student is surprised his friend here is still able to get back to his feet, complimenting he's as tough as they come. Continuing to look on silently, Piccolo can tell Krillin has indeed been training like he has something to prove. The Namek believes he now knows how this will end. While he didn't get to train with King Kai, Tien states the potential the Grand Elder unleashed in Krillin must have really been something. Who admits his intervention did grant him quite the boost. Now his attacks don't suffer from the old suppression they used to. Slightly bowing his head, Tien Shinhan reveals a big reason he wanted this battle to take place is because he needed to know if he could handle that power himself. With a smirk, 4 feet of Fury mocks he may have been able to withstand it once, but asks if he really thinks the second go is a good idea. When something finally dawns on Tien, Krillin's base power hasn't really changed through the duration of this fight, wondering if that could be because he never trained off-world, questioning what he's talking about. He details how, obviously, they haven't fully utilized their key attacks in order to keep the audience safe. But to determine which of them is truly the strongest, they need to know to what extent each of them can draw out their hidden power. With this, Krillin understands a bit better what his adversary means, causing him to inquire if he too has a way to go beyond his limits or something. But shouts bluffing isn't going to work today. But he's not bluffing. Tien Shinhan realized he had reached the peak of his strength by the time Frieza and his father arrived on Earth. As the conversation ensues, on Kaiosama's world, it seems Goku had to alert everyone of this fight. Then again, it's not too strange a teacher would want to see the fruits of his training he instilled in his students. Giggling, Tien has been itching to use his latest technique. Furious at the realization his foe is holding back, Krillin is done talking, screaming he's going to give it every last bit of power he has, so he better do the same. With this final standoff, Tien plans to do just that, urging his friend not to be too heartbroken once he loses. Utilizing the Kaioken! As Krillin realizes what he's in for, he gives up, admitting he knows there is no possible way he can hope to compete with this, offering his compliments to Tien. He really is amazing. Though he does remind, the Kaioken is pretty harsh on the body. Under different circumstances, the tables could have easily been turned. Regardless, as things stand, the turtle student knows in terms of raw power, he's completely out of his league. A bit dumbfounded, the announcer finally comes to his senses, officially declaring Tien the winner, which means he stands as the strongest man on Earth. But piping up, He insists that title still does not belong to him. Technically, if they're just being honest, there's someone who outranks him tenfold. Roshi and the others wonder who he could be talking about. Surely not Yamcha. Even Goku is confused by this admission, questioning Vegeta if he knows who he means. Who, arrogant as always, scoffs you'd have to be an idiot not to know who he's talking about. With a smile, he reveals it's Android 17, which comes as a satisfactory answer to everyone, except maybe Yamcha. Not arguing, it's then announced, there you have it, the strongest man in the world is Android 17. But what's the big difference between the Kaioken and unlocked potential, you didn't ask? While the latter technique is believed to release one's usual pent-up energy, allowing the host to bring out their maximum power. It's assumed this does not amplify your max strength, but rather draws out your power to its maximum. In a sense, giving you a larger level cap you can work towards over time that couldn't be accessed through traditional training. Meanwhile, the Kaioken can amplify your power past your normal limits many times over. It's a technique that forces you to propel through your max. For example, when Dr. Gero was able to drain Piccolo of his energy by catching him off guard, once back at full strength. The Namek was easily able to get the upper hand by unleashing his power in small bursts. While not technically confirmed as canon, this sounds awfully similar to the abilities of the Kaioken. By the same logic, during Tien's standoff against Semi-Perfect Cell, it could again be theorized he also utilized the Kaioken to fire off immensely more powerful Kiko-Ho blasts in rapid succession. As the one-time students of rival schools walk off into the sunset, we're left to wonder if that's really fair to announce 17 the winner. After all, he is a cyborg, and if he counts, why not Gohan or Trunks? Heck, lore aside, how many humans do you know with 3 eyes? All those questions and more to be answered! Probably not ever.